What's going on, friends? Welcome back to another New World video. Today we're going to be talking about upgrading items in New World Aeternum. Now this is going to be for max level players, but I've seen a bunch of people recently in the YouTube comments and the Twitch chat asking, Baggins, how do I upgrade my items in New World and what can I upgrade exactly? Because it's a bit of a head scratcher. For example, this life staff here, 592 gear score, I can upgrade this to 700 gear score. I can go into the Gypsum Kiln here. We pop open the menu and up at the top, I have the option to take that same life staff and make a 700 gear score version of it, and I get to choose the third perk. So I could have a Desperate Prayer, Purifying Breeze, Refreshing Move, 700 gear score life staff. However, another life staff in my inventory, Reluctant Savior, I cannot upgrade that life staff. It doesn't even give me the option. It's not because it's locked, it's because of certain rules that are put in place for items that can be upgraded and items that can't. Also, just to add an extra layer of confusion, some items, especially artifacts, can be upgraded to 725. However, that Riptide Life Staff cannot be upgraded to 725. So I'm going to try and lay some ground rules and explain how you can figure out which things can and which things can't be upgraded and what you need to do to upgrade those items. So first of all, let's kick things off with how you can identify if an item can even be upgraded in the first place. Now, you could just go to the Gypsum Kiln and take a look and see if you can upgrade it. You know, you'll see up at the top here whether you can upgrade items or not. One thing that's important to note is you won't see this named item crafting or upgrading section if the item is on your character. So if I take this Riptide Life Staff and just go ahead and pop it on there, I'm now no longer going to see it in the menu because it's equipped to my character. The same would be true if it was in a gear set. I also wouldn't see it there. Or if it's in your inventory and simply locked as well. If I put it into my inventory and lock it, I'm also not going to see the item. So I have to make sure it's unlocked and in my inventory. Or it could be in the storage shed where that Gypsum Kiln is. Gypsum Kilns, for those of you curious, can only be accessed from level 60 or higher, and they're located in all of the sort of high-level settlements. So Brimstone Sands, Ebonscale Reach, the Elysian Wilds. Cutlass Keys actually doesn't have one. It probably should now, but it doesn't because they haven't thought to update that. But either way, Brimstone Sands is my favorite one to go to. I just think it's pretty easy to get to. But when you open the menu, you'll see at the top, these are the items that you have on you that can be upgraded. Now the common thread, or the common theme with items that can be upgraded is they have to be named. So you have to have a named item. If you want to be able to upgrade it, it does have to be named. And also, there is an extra step amongst that, because you guys might notice sometimes you go to the Gypsum Kiln, like for example, I have another life staff here called Reluctant Savior. I can't upgrade this. It's not locked, it's not equipped on my character, and yet when I go to the Gypsum Kiln, I can't upgrade it. What gives there, Baggins? Well, there is one extra requirement, and this isn't always going to be true, but like 99.9% of the time it will. If it says requirement level, and then it's lower than 60, so requirement level 59, 58, 57, you guys get the idea. Typically, it's not going to be upgradable. So the two rules, it has to be named, and also it has to be requirement level 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. The gear score of the item doesn't actually matter, as we can see here, this is 592, and I can go ahead and upgrade that bad boy all the way to 700 gear score. One other thing that may confuse you guys here is when you see the 700 gear score, it's like, oh, it's still epic. Is it not going to be legendary? It will. When you choose the perk, you'll get the 3 perks there, but it doesn't have the ability to display the perk on there and make it legendary. It would be a nice UI change, or visually, if you could see the legendary up at the top there, but I guarantee when I hit that craft button, in fact, let's just do it for the video, you'll see here that I will get a 700 gear score with the 3 perks. So one other thing to be aware of is the upgrading process simply can also just be changing a perk as well. So my mindfulness here, for example, this already has 3 perks on it, so it's not epic. I'm not upgrading it to legendary, but what I can do is I can change one of the perks on the item. The perk that you can change is not in your control. So all named items in the game, and this is the same with artifacts, they will have some predetermined perks on them. So in the case of the Riptide Life Staff, every single person who gets this, the item will have Purifying Breeze and Desperate Prayer, and then you get to choose the third perk, if that makes sense. So if I wanted to just burn some more materials for the sake of the video, I could take that same life staff in here again, and we will see the Riptide Life Staff, and I could change that perk. So if I decided that I didn't like Refreshing Move for whatever reason, I want to put Keen Speed on it, then I could do that, and then we hit craft and it would change the perk. So it's the process of upgrading the item to 700, but if the item is already 700, you can simply just change a perk. And this is going to become very relevant with the artifacts. This is something else that you're definitely going to be doing in the Gypsum Kiln. So we scroll all the way down to the bottom. I think that's where we find the artifacts section. Yeah, here we go. So we have the artifacts here as well. There are two options when it comes to upgrading artifacts. You have the 700 and the 725. Now, most of the time, it's probably not going to be worth upgrading to 700, although you do get to choose the final perk, so I can add a perk onto these. You will then want to upgrade later on again for the same amount of materials plus a Gorgonite inductor or the coconut, which we can talk about where you get those in a second. But just be wary that if you are upgrading an artifact to 700, at some point you will want to make another upgrade to 725. Each time you'll choose which perk you want to put on it. But hopefully that explains some context. When it comes to what you can and can't see in the Gypsum Kiln, like again, I have a ring here. This is another one that, just to throw an extra spanner in the works, this was given to me as a quest reward, and for whatever reason, quest rewards break the rule, okay? So it's got named, and it says requirement level 62, so it would meet the criteria, but because it's a quest reward, it cannot be upgraded. Again, I think Amazon, if they ever watch this video, why is it such a confusing system? But I did just want to try and give you guys a rundown on like what can and can't be upgraded. So the typical criteria is that it has to be requirement level 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, and it has to be named. If you guys are ever sort of curious, you can also just take a look at the item on New World database as well. I'll put a link to this in the description down below, but if we take a look for mindfulness, there's actually several of this going on there, so I think it's this one down here. You will see that it has an upgrade recipe. So the upgrade recipe is 700 gear score, whereas if I take a look at that other ring, what was the name of it? It was called the Hourglass Ring. Go ahead and type this in here. The Hourglass Ring, this is the one that I have. Yeah, no upgrade recipe, and if we take a look at the other one, also no upgrade recipe as well. So that is another way that you can determine whether an item can be upgraded or not. If it says upgrade recipe at the top, at the bottom of the webpage, then you know that it can be upgraded. Another thing that's handy to know about when it comes to the Gypsum Kiln, we briefly touched on it, but I just wanted to give an example, is you also find the ability to make items down here as well. So again, they're gonna have two perks, and when you craft them, the third perk will be randomly rolled. Something that is quite desirable and a lot of people will want to be working towards getting, especially on the new servers, is this Frigid Dawn armor. It's very, very good. It's heavy armor, but obviously if you're wearing the featherweight, the artifact chest, you can get away with wearing a heavy helmet or some heavy gloves. You can get away with one of these three, for example. So let's go ahead and make a helmet here and see what we get. We get Enchanted Ward, Elemental Aversion. Ideally right now, there's a lot of hatchets going around, so Slash Conditioning would be an ideal third perk. Thrust Conditioning would also be pretty good as well. Refreshing or Health. Let's see what we get. And we got Invigorated. Now, again, not a terrible perk. If you want a sort of rundown on what perks I think are good and bad, I've got a link to a video up in the top right, one of the previous ones we recorded. But I'm not too keen on that Invigorated. So what do? Do I just salvage it? No, again, I can use that upgrading system. So now it is in my inventory, and I see that I have the option here to change the perk if I want to. So I can now go ahead and put that Slash Conditioning on, and I can get my Enchanted Ward, Elemental Version, Slash Conditioning helmet. So you can kind of use the Gypsum Kiln as a way to craft your perfect items. Obviously, it's going to be expensive with the Matrix and the Dark Matter and the Gypsum Kiln and the Chromatic Seals, but it is a way that you can effectively get your perfect item. If you find something that you like, if you're like, oh, that's got two good perks, and I'll go ahead and add that third perk, you can craft it, and first of all, hope that you get it, just off the bat, but if you don't get it, you can then use the upgrade system. Even though you're not upgrading the gear score, you're still changing one of the perks. So that kind of covers 700 gear score items. Again, if you do have any further questions, feel free to ask a comment down below or go into Twitch chat. I'll put a link to my stream in the description down below. Happy to cover any extra things. But I think that should cover the preliminary 700 gear score and how that works. Something that's worth mentioning, Weapon Matrix, Armor Matrix, and Jewelry Matrix. If you guys aren't sure how to get these yet, they are made through crafting primarily. So you will find Armor Matrix in two different sections. You can make them through max level armoring, or I believe you can also make them through max level Arcana as well. So if you go to a Arcana station, you have max level Arcana, you can make these. They do require other materials to make them though. So an Armor Matrix might require honing acid and like reinforced bracing or something like that. So, and that's made at the bottom of engineering. So You do need a lot of crafting. A lot of crafting goes into these, and making the reinforced bracing, the honing acid, each one of those requires 5 gypsum orbs and a bunch of prismatic materials as well. Prismatics come from having max tier smelting, so yeah, you gotta, and that's just prismatic ingots. You do need to do a lot of crafting to get these, or you can buy them off the trading post from other players, but you will be paying a premium on the brand new servers. You can also get them from the season pass as well. It's worth noting that there's an armor matrix here, a weapon matrix here. I think earlier on down the line there's also a jewelry matrix, so there are a few you can get there. Right now, if you want it to be economical, it might be best to sell them because the supply is low and the demand is very high. But over time, as people max out their crafting, you will see more of these on the trading post, and they will be easier to obtain. Dark matter, you're going to get this from a bunch of different ways. You can get it from dungeons, you can get it from questing, you can get it from salvaging items, you can get it from the season pass as well, I think. You can get it from the PvP rewards track. You will see it pop up occasionally there. Gypsum orbs, you guys have probably come across quite a few of these. You can actually make gypsum orbs in the gypsum kiln. So sapphire gypsum, get this from doing dungeons. Is that dungeons, right? Yeah, if you do dungeons. Obsidian gypsum, killing open world bosses. Emerald gypsum comes from crafting. So you'll come across quite a lot of different types of gypsum, and you can just turn them into gypsum orbs in here in fairly large quantities. So those shouldn't be too difficult to get your hands on. And then chromatic seals. Right now, at the time of recording, you can get some of these from the Halloween event, but outside of the Halloween event, you're only going to be able to purchase these from your faction vendor. So right down at the bottom of the faction store, there is the ability to buy the chromatic seal. It's 5,000 gold. And I think it's 20,000 faction tokens. Again, it's on the bottom tier of your faction store. And you do need quite a few of these to upgrade the named items. Thankfully, with artifacts, it's only 1. And with that being said, let's jump over to artifacts and talk about those as well. Now, just like with named items, artifacts have a very similar approach. They always have some predetermined perks on them. You can't do anything, you can't change any of these sort of perks, but the sort of bottom option down here, upgraded the gypsum kiln, you do get to choose what perk that is. And just like with the named items, we can craft an upgrade onto the artifact, and then we can redo it again later on if we decide we want to change the perk. And again, just like with named items, if you want to see the option to upgrade an artifact in the gypsum kiln, you will need to make sure that it's in your inventory. So again, that didn't go into my inventory, it went into a gear set. Take it off there. It looks like I have it in a different gear set as well. Yep, there it is. And it's there. And there we go. It's finally in my inventory, or I could have it in my storage shed. And now when I go to the gypsum kiln, the artifact section is right down at the bottom. So here we go. We can see all of the different artifacts that we have. And we get 2 options, just as we covered, the ability to upgrade to 700 and the ability to upgrade to 725. So with the Void Dark Plate, if I could just get 1 armor matrix, I could go ahead and make this upgrade now. And again, we talked about it, but I'd probably put slash conditioning on the chest piece because hatchets just everywhere, and slash conditioning pretty good in PvE as well. But I'm not gonna go with the upgrade. When I get my armor matrix, I'm gonna go ahead and spend a coconut or a gorgonite inductor. And it's worth mentioning where you can get these from. So the gorgonite inductor only comes from completing the Hive of Gorgons raid. So if you want to upgrade artifacts to 725, you can only get those. The 2 materials you get, one of them only comes from the Hive of Gorgons raid, and it does have to be from the final boss. So when you kill the final boss of the Hive of Gorgons, Broodmother Medusa, you can get 1 gorgonite inductor once a week. The other thing that you can get, which is the gold cursed coconut, I'll just show you guys what that looks like again. The coconut is obtained from the PvP zone. So if you want to get your gold cursed coconut, you have to go into the cursed mists. So you've got to go down here, which does mean that you will automatically be flagged for PvP, and you need to find a big chest in the area. It's called a cursed hoard. Once you find a cursed hoard, if you can loot it, you are guaranteed to get a coconut. Now, unlike other materials that you obtain from the cursed mists from the PvP zone, you don't have to worry about your coconut dropping on death. Once you've got it, you've got it. It's good. It is also worth mentioning that there is a quest you can get. So if you go into Cutlass Keys, you talk to Patricia. She's standing in a box somewhere in there. She'll give you a quest to talk to some people in the town, and then they will tell you to go down here and talk to a guy in Gorgon's Landing. That guy, I can't remember his name now, one of the NPCs gives you a quest to go into the raid and kill the final boss. If you can do that, obviously you get your Gorgonite Inductor, but the reward from him, he also gives you a coconut. So you can get an additional coconut by completing the raid. But yeah, as you can see though, it's basically do the raid or do the PvP zone. And both of those are once a week, and they reset on Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. server time. That's the only real way that you can upgrade to 725 that's going to be accessible for most people right now. It is pretty much artifacts. Again, when it comes to the non-artifacts, when it comes to unnamed items, like pretty much everything we can make here, this is only ever going to be 700. It won't go to 725. However, there are a small handful of items that will go to 725. Let's talk about those right now. The Trial of the Devourer, or the Sandworm Raid, does drop items that come at 710 gear score. So it says 700 here, but I'm fairly certain it is 710, and these can be upgraded to 725. However, getting them is going to be quite challenging. I think the Sandworm, probably one of the hardest pieces of content in the game right now. So if you're in a position where you can start getting these items, you probably already understand the process of upgrading to 725, but it is worth mentioning that these items here in particular, these can go to 725. You also have named items that come from the Hive of Gorgons raid itself. Now, most of these are always going to drop at 725 anyway, but again, these technically, they do appear in the list if I think I have some hoplite stuff on me right now. Do I have anything hoplite on this character? Yeah, on this guy here, I've got a hoplite hatchet. So if I go ahead and take that out, make sure, again, it's in my inventory. Take it out of the gear set. There we go. And then if I go here, it's not really upgrading to 725 because it's already 725. But just like with the named items, you can go ahead and change one of the perks. So this one here that I have, the third perk was Keen, I think is what it's got, which is not that great because you can already get guaranteed backstabs by hitting the enemy, or guaranteed crits by hitting the enemy in the back. So I'd be maybe inclined to put like Refreshing Move or Rogue or something on this one. Actually, I can't do Rogue because of Disdained. Either way, if you want to do this, you will need a Gorgon's Eye, which funny enough comes from the Hive of Gorgons raid, and then you need all the other materials that we just talked about. There is one more type of item that you can also upgrade to 725, and that's actually done at a different crafting station down in Cutlass Keys at the Well of Fortune. So let's just go take a look at those. And here we are. So again, this is located in Cutlass Keys and only Cutlass Keys, unlike with the Gypsum Kiln, which I found in a bunch of different settlements. You can only find the Well of Fortune here. Within here, there is a certain section that you'll see called named items, and it's only actually weapons, but all of these weapons that you can buy here can be upgraded to 725 gear score. So they come in at 710, but you can upgrade them, and you actually upgrade them here within the Well of Fortune as well. So I'm debating whether I want to buy anything to then show you guys on the video here. I did actually buy Living Mind. I think this is probably one of the best purchases. It has Blessed and Refreshing Divine Embrace. And then the third perk is randomly rolled when you craft it. I tell you what, I think of all of these, the Void Gauntlet's probably the one that makes the most sense. He's keen on a Void Gauntlet isn't too bad. And then reducing the duration of Empowers, kind of in the theme of what a Void Gauntlet would do anyway. So let's go ahead and buy one of these and we'll show you guys. It's going to randomly roll the third perk. So again, they're not going to be that good in PvE. You can't really play with these in the raid that much because Keen isn't often that good of a perk on a lot of items. Vicious is okay on a Fire Staff, but these typically are more PvP orientated. But I think this in particular is going to be worthwhile. Let's see what the third perk is that we get. Putrefying Scream. We got Thwarting Strikes. Okay, so that's pretty awful. That's an unlucky third perk. But thankfully, just like with the upgrading system, with the Gypsum Kiln, I can change that third perk and simultaneously upgrade it to 725. So if I wanted to, I could go ahead and put my Putrefying Scream, which is what I was hoping for. In this case, I don't have the craft mod right now, so we'll do Enchanted, and then I can have a Keen, Penetrating the Empowered, and Enchanted Void Gauntlet. To do this, you need Dark Matter. We already talked about how you can get that, and then you do need the Coconut as well. I would say be cautious about doing this when it comes to the Coconut or the Gorgonite Inductor. Again, you can only get one of each a week and then that's it. You can't get any more. So people have been asking, what should I do with the Coconut? Should I be buying these boxes up here? No, I think these are a bit of a scam. Although you do get a 725 gear score item, the perks are often pretty bad, as we just saw there, like that third perk. Not great in my opinion. So instead, be using your Coconut to upgrade items at the Gypsum Kiln or upgrade items at the Well of Fortune. The only items you can upgrade at the Well of Fortune are the ones that you buy here. They have to be the named ones. And again, they follow all the typical rules. Like if I go ahead and lock that, it's not going to show up. If I have it equipped to my character, it's not going to show up. You guys get the idea. So we'll just demonstrate that here. Yeah, we don't see the option to upgrade it anymore. And I think that is pretty much it when it comes to upgrading. Again, I know it is a very confusing topic because of some things that you can't upgrade and some things you can, especially with like the quest items thing. But the TLDR, if you take nothing away, is as long as it says requirement level 60, 61, 62, all the way up to 65, and it's named, it's very likely that you will be able to upgrade it. Items that are below level 60, usually you won't. Obviously, there is the example where if it comes from a quest, you won't be able to upgrade that, and you can still upgrade items that they're already 700 gear score, but you can't upgrade most of the 700 gear score items. You can't upgrade to 725. The only 700 gear score items that you can upgrade to 725 are going to be the artifacts, the items that come from the sandworm, the items that come from the Well of Fortune, and the items that come from the Hive of Gorgons raid, like your hoplite hatchet and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that covers everything. Again, we do have this fantastic resource over here, New World Database. We'll put a link to this website in the description down below, including this link here, so you can actually go to items, and then you can go to upgradable, set it to yes, and it will show you every single item that is upgradable in the game and the possible gear score that it can go to, and then you can sort of look it up and see where you can get it from as well. So if we take a look at the ring, for example, which is a pretty garbage void gauntlet, but we just go through here. So this drops from these particular enemies here. So we could go kill Kurok's Frozen Fist or Silverback Smasher, and then again, with this item in my inventory, you would be able to choose the random third perk at the Gypsum Kiln and upgrade it to 700 at the same time, but not to 725. Right, I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point, friends, so if you do have any further questions, leave them in the comments down below. If you want to talk to me live, I'm more than happy. We spend many hours every day just talking to people in chat, answering questions about New World Aeternum, so if you have any burning questions about the game, hop into the stream, twitch.tv/BagginsTV, link in the description down below. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll catch you all in the next video. See you there.